Hello and welcome to the Faces of Mental Health. I am Bulane Mphatwe. In this episode, I am interviewing a drug abuse survivor. His name is Rethabile Monkhi. He's going to be telling us about his journey with substance abuse and mental health. He's also a mental health advocate with regards to substance abuse and a pastor. Rethabile, welcome to the Faces of Mental Health.
Thank you very much. The pleasure is all mine.
Thank you. Can you tell us where your journey began? When did you start taking substances? Just take us through all of that.
My first encounter with drugs and alcohol was obviously in high school.
Okay.
During maybe from 4 and from 5. It was all about experimenting, trying this and trying that.
Mm-hmm.
Until I completed obviously 2002. That's when I was only doing weed then. But in 2002, after I completed high school, I went abroad. I went to the United States of America. I was in Phoenix, Arizona. So I started experimenting with illicit drugs. My first drug was cocaine. And I tried a whole lot of things there for that 8 months I was in. So I tried weed, cocaine, ecstasy, mushrooms, until I became ill. I became psychologically ill. So I had to come back home in 2005, January. Yes.
And how old were you at that time?
I turned 18 there.
Yeah.
So it was in 2000, in fact it was in 2003, yes, I turned 18 there. Yes, I was 18.
And what drew you
Um,
to starting?
I really can't say friends, peer pressure maybe was, but I think it was more curiosity. And when I grew up with a bunch of guys where we liked things, and people liked us, we liked other things, you know what I'm saying? Women and parties. So I guess it was me with my curiosity, and they killed me like they killed the cat.
And when did you realize that did you even realize that you had a problem? When was it?
Not really.
Okay.
To put it like this, drugs and alcohol obviously can to that party, like that party things, the things that make you feel good about yourself.
Right.
So you don't realize why you're using.
Yes.
You don't realize for years, because my journey went all the way 20 years or up. You know what I'm saying? So there are certain things that happen in your life during that period that shock you, that you kind of get wake-up calls, but you don't take you take for granted.
Right.
You don't take seriously, but you realize. Yeah.
Can you tell us about those wake-up calls?
Wake-up calls, I had a few. I had my first wake-up call was losing my job. I used to work for the Minister of Trade and Industry. I was a senior commercial officer, meaning I was a manager, top management in Mohoto. I worked there for 2 years until I resigned, because every time I was up, I got my money, I came home, came to Masero. I didn't. So my managers, like my home managers by myself, were starting to question my work. So I had to resign.
And this was now how many years into the use of substances? How old were you around that time?
Around that time,
I'm so sorry, I'm getting into age so much.
Around that time, I can say I was about 25, 26. I was 10 years down the line. Because if I started in 2002, 2012, it was about 2010, 2012.
All right. So you had already come back from
I was already come back from the States. Yes. I was already home. I was already married. I already had my first kid, but I was still using.
Let's go back to the US a little bit.
Okay.
What's the setting like in the US? What's the landscape like with regards to drugs and someone who was 18, 19 at that time?
18, about 18.
What was the setting like?
The US, I think with developing Africa, or Joburg, it's the same.
Right.
But I think the illicit drugs were too much out there than here at that time. So it was the same, but because I had money when I went there, I met a whole lot of people that needed a whole lot of things from me. So I was exposed. I was too exposed. Yes.
And at that time, you had no wake-up calls when you were still in school?
No. No.
Didn't impact on your school?
No, not really
at all. Okay.
Because I was ready to set. I managed to set my exams in December,
Mm.
so I got good grades. So I think I was managing.
All right. And how was your family reacting at that time when you started? Was anyone aware of your drug use?
Yes and yes and yes and no.
Okay. You picked up on all those
yes,
questions.
drug users are very manipulative. So they were aware, but I was able to manipulate them. In terms of they would know that at this time is no more using or we're going behind their back. Yes. That's why I said yes and yes and no. But I was very manipulative about it.
Okay. And you told us about your first wake-up call. Can you tell us about the others?
The others were losing my soon to be ex-wife. Because obviously I grew up in a family structure where there was a mom, there's a dad, there were people in the house. So when I lost those people, which was my wife, my children, and I stayed alone, I lost my structure. So that's when my life really started breaking up. In 2017, that's when everything became, that's when I was losing myself.
And how did drugs affect you? How were you affected by drugs?
As a person, it affected my ambitions because I think we use drugs, we are cowards. People that use drugs, nowadays I refer to them, we're cowards because we can't face what we have to face, which is life. We can't face challenges, so we tend to run to drugs. It affected me. I lost a whole lot of good friends. They withdrew from me. I didn't lose them, they just withdrew from me. I destroyed my inheritance, what my late mom and dad left for me in the process. My house. I destroyed my name. And I put my family through turmoil. I destroyed relationships within the family. Because one would stick up for me, today the other one, they ended up fighting amongst themselves because of me. And I almost destroyed my children's legacy in terms of being a provider, in terms of being a father. I couldn't step up. So they destroy your name in the community, associated with you become a criminal because you're a drug user. So people don't look at you in the same way they used to look at you.
What was the lowest point of your life?
2023, between December and July. This was when I was doing crystal meth. I was deep into crystal meth. I was getting sick. And I have children that stay with their mom, and we live in the same neighborhood. I was getting sick in my intestines, and I was literally smelling of shit after I used to smoke. I used to smell of crack. People noticed. I could smell myself. I had to walk to see my kids. People were laughing at me at the streets. And that's when I told myself that I will never ever want to feel this way again. I have to do something about it. I knelt down. I was reading a book, a magazine, True Love. The back of the magazine, there was a copy of Sunday. It was called Sunday what. Sunday what. I opened it. It told me that I have to remember who I am. That God is there. And that day I prayed. And within a week or two, that's when I decided to go to rehab.
It's quite inspirational. Thank you very much. Have you had previous relapses, or had you gone to rehab before that?
Yes. I went to two rehabs. I went to one rehab in Pholo, but it wasn't my time. It was my family's time. It was not my time. I was not doing it for myself. I was doing it maybe for other people. So it wasn't out of free will. I wasn't forced or anything because I consented, but it wasn't my time and it wasn't God's time. He still had a purpose for me. Let me explain what I believe. I believe that everything will happen so that one day I can stand here and talk to you, so that it might change at least one person's life. And I knew that the fire would not burn me. Like Daniel going into the lion's den, he was not going to be eaten by those lions, but the fire was never going to burn me. But at the end of the day, because Modimo was going to be uplifted.
So I see that spirituality and religion play an important role in your life.
Very crucial role. I was so fortunate to have went to the right place at the right time, where I met my spiritual mother, Mother Nsadi, and my bishop, Dr. Monkhi. They welcomed me into their home, and I'm here because of them today. And God used them to save my life, and I'm very grateful.
And did you experience any withdrawal symptoms?
Not really. I think with my journey, the beauty of it is the first day, that Monday, I hadn't slept in months, believe me. From 2020 to December to that period in July, to that Monday when I went to that place, St. John and Moshe too. I just went there, slept on a small mattress, but I slept like a baby. So with me, I didn't, because I think I was quitting, because even in my last sessions, I used to speak with people. I used to tell them, well, I'm stopping this. I think I quit before I quit, if you get what I'm trying to say. I think psychologically I was preparing myself for it, so that's why I didn't even experience those kind of withdrawals.
And what's the worst thing that you've ever done when high?
Whew. God forgive me. Worst thing is, I don't remember the exact year. I stabbed my second born sister. I was high on coke. I was demanding a car to go to a party, and I stabbed her, and I went to jail for it. And I'm so sorry, my sister. I love you.
And how did that affect relations, family dynamics?
Very much. I respect her so much that I know that she's a very forgiving person. She's never shown me that she is still angry at me. But it's me, I'm shameful every time, like, especially towards when I look at her son. Like, what if this guy one day turns on me, you've done this to my mother? I wouldn't fight back. I would just, he would have the right, but he hasn't done it. But it scares me when I think about her son. Yes.
And have you had the conversation with him?
No. It hasn't come up. He's a very humble guy.
Looks like it's gonna come up after this.
Definitely. And I'll talk to him. He's my little brother.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And in terms of moving forward now, and family relationships, how did you move collectively as a family,
from there to here? Hey, this thing has been wonderful. It's been an incredible journey. I'm getting support from my family, everybody. The chosen rehab, like the church that I went to, my sister, my last born sister, Pokwan, a friend of hers recommended it, so she's been there supportive. And my eldest sister, she's been very, very supportive. She's there with me every day with Palace. And I remember one time she was like, Rethabile, I'm proud of you. I have never felt so good in my life, because it's somebody that I disappointed for a long time, because she had to play a mother role, because my mother died when I was 16, so I've been a pain in the ass for her. I've disappointed her almost all my life, but hearing those words from her, it motivates me every single day. I don't want to disappoint. I'm not doing it for anybody, I'm doing it for myself, but I do not want to disappoint anybody.
Yes. And what, you're talking about support now.
Yeah.
And the importance of support. particularly for people who are struggling with substance abuse. What would you say is the link between using drugs and alcohol and mental health?
The link is when you're sober, you're sober. When you take something, you're changing your state of mind. So it's gonna impair your mind. So you're gonna think it's not happening, but gradually it is. It's going to affect your mental state. The way you talk, you're gonna talk differently. The way you think, and you're gonna see, and it's gonna change your appearance at the end.
What are some of the things that you'd like, or the message that you'd like to send out there about substance abuse?
First thing is don't do it. Don't even take that. Don't. Hey, can you try this? Don't. No. Don't even take the first hit. It's not. Drugs are not cool. That's all I can say. Just don't do it.
And for those who are already on them?
For those who are already on them, I'm gonna pray for you because it's very difficult to get out of this. If you're talking about 20-something years, it's not gonna be easy. But when you do it for yourself. Don't do it for your family, because if you do it to impress people, it's not gonna work. It's when you decide to quit, just do it for yourself. But my brothers and sisters who are still using, it's not worth it. It's gonna destroy every element of your life. It's gonna ruin your life. Don't even go. It's a no-go area.
And you are now an advocate against drugs and substance abuse, and a pastor as well. Can you tell us about
that journey?
Yeah.
I think it was last year or the year before. I was invited to a gala dinner of an organization called Mom. I was invited by Mayor as a family friend. I went there. It was good. I heard stories. I met people. And after that, I wasn't really involved. But one day, I think I was from work. I decided to contact the administrators. I did, and I met, I talked to Meponso, Denise, and Memampa. So they introduced me to the organization, and I started doing talks for them. And I'm so grateful because without them, or without that organization, I don't know what I'll be doing. It kept me busy. It kept me focused on my life, and I'm so grateful for the organization.
Okay, and speaking now from someone who has walked this road, what kind of support do you think people who are using need from society, from family, just generally?
From generally, the support is, you just said from family and society. I was gonna say the first support is from God. If you don't surrender, I still maintain it. The only way you're gonna go, this is a spiritual war. I think with drugs, there's spirituality and there's the devil. So without God and Jesus, no, it's not gonna work. You can go to any rehab, but if you don't have your mind, your spirit ready, and you're aligned with God, you're not gonna do it. So give everything up to God, and the rest will be history. Believe me, I can testify to that. In terms of community and family, they will approach you. They will take you back as you find. If you have to love yourself, as you love yourself and you behave yourself, everybody's gonna come back and make money. Amends are gonna be made. Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. It has been very inspiring.
Okay, thank you very much.
There you have it. We've heard from Rethabile and his journey with drugs and substances. And you can see that at the end of the day, there's light at the end of the tunnel. If you are still using drugs or you're a drug user, reach out for help, and family, support users, and let's just collaborate to make our country and our communities a drug-free zone. Thank you so much for joining us. Please follow, like, and subscribe to our channel for more mental health.